Hello folks, in the same fashion as 14-year-old me, it would appear that we have been waiting quite some time for any sort of reply from our crush. Unlike 14-year-old me, however, we've only waited almost a full week, and finally, the Khazan patch is very nearly here. To address the dragon in the room, I did announce in my previous video that we'd likely see the patch within 24 hours of the recent dev notes, which were released roughly 5 days ago. I do apologise, of course, I couldn't have anticipated such delays, but I also shouldn't have tried to. Regardless, the patch is pretty much here, and we've got the complete rundown coming up. The only other thing I'd like to add before we get started is we will be covering guides and updates for Clair Obscure Expedition 33, releasing on this Thursday, the 24th of April. But other than that, let's get started. Okay, so first thing is first, it should be made clear that the patch is still not yet dropped. However, we do have confirmation that it will arrive at roughly 2 a.m. UTC on April the 22nd. However, this may vary by platform. As for the changes themselves, first up, we have balance adjustment. Phantom growth speed now increases proportionally to the number of unlocked phantoms, and phantoms now grow faster than before. More strategic and diverse choices in phantom selection are now available, essentially meaning that the inherent experience earnings have been increased, and as and when you unlock additional phantoms, all phantoms will begin to level up slightly faster. Elemental damage and status effects from map elements are now affected by the character's attribute resistance. For example, map elements like Poison Swamplands, Fire AoE, or Stones of Chaos are affected by the character's attribute resistance stats, a very nice improvement. Skill point gain improvements. Skill points can now be acquired more smoothly, regardless of play proficiency or style. Weapon mastery level adjustment. Weapon mastery levels are adjusted to align more closely with progression. Weapon mastery experience adjustment. Brink dodge. Slight increase in experience gained upon performing a brink dodge. Players familiar with weapons or relying on brink dodges can now also obtain more skill points. As for system changes, for the gear system, we have gear that cannot be sold, can no longer be selected as materials. In the gear augmentation system, the following gear can no longer be dismantled as materials. In a nutshell, every single jar helmet that can be bought from Danjin, as well as the entire hero and Fallen Star armor sets. For the Phantom system changes, we have a notification display has now been added when there is a Phantom that can be unlocked or upgraded, as well as the Phantom system guide has been improved. The location of Phantom level experience has been adjusted to a more intuitive position. Description of Phantom level is added to the loading screen, and the system message will appear the first time you enter the Phantom system. Visuals have been improved when unlocking, accompanying, or awakening a Phantom, and there is now an emphasis added to the first sentence in the settings text on the left of the Phantom system. For Khazan's memories, we have the guidance for Khazan's memories has been improved. A notification will appear if Khazan's memories are complete or if you can upgrade with vengeance points. When Khazan's memories are completed, a check mark appears at the bottom right of its icon. After completing Khazan's memories, entering the UI will update the status and grant all vengeance points. A tutorial has been added for the first entry of Khazan's memories, and a reset function is now added for Khazan's memories upgrades. As for the achievements, the conditions for the Standing Alone achievement are now based on the current playthrough. For example, you can earn the achievement as long as you don't summon the Spirit of Advocacy during your second playthrough, even if you summoned it in your first. The summon history of the Spirit of Advocacy will be reset with this patch. After the patch, clearing the final boss without summoning the Spirit of Advocacy will grant the Standing Alone achievement. If you've already completed the third playthrough, defeating the final boss again will grant this achievement. As for the camera changes, we have system lock-on target is set more consistently. A new lock-on option has been added to settings under accessibility. You can now select the sight option according to your preference. We have either lock-on target priority, set how targets are selected among enemies and objects on the screen, and we have camera reset, set whether to reset the camera when no lock-on targets are available. As for the crafting changes, we have a main tab has been added to the set list in the set crafting. Sets are now sorted into tabs according to the weapon included in the set, and now sets without weapons are sorted into the other tab. A notification will now appear when a new recipe has been added. The source of special ingredients will now appear in the description format. The number of consumable items storable in the storage will now appear, and storage count is added separately. For the UI and UX improvements, we have localized subtitles have been added to the bottom of each region's cutscenes. When starting a main mission in the region for the first time, the localized region name will appear below the English name according to your language settings. However, region names in the cutscenes will remain in English. Region names will now appear on the Save Data in the Load menu, and in the main menu load screen, mission names and region names will now be displayed together within the Save Data. For mission progression and goal display, we have detailed mission progress has been added to the main menu. Even during combat, you can check detailed mission progress within the main menu through the following displays. Soulstones and Dungeons Jars both show the number collected and the number required to complete the mission. Please note that the number of Dungeons Jars will show after clearing the side mission Jar Enthusiasts. And lastly, it now shows the total number of Lost Lacrima. Spirit of Advocacy upgrade notifications. Upgrade notifications for the Spirit of Advocacy are now more visible. When interacting with the Throner, a notification will now appear in the Spirit of Advocacy upgrade menu. If there is a spirit that can be upgraded, a notification will appear in the upgrade UI, and the number of owned Lacrima of circulation will now appear in yellow on the screen. An upgrade reset function has been added for the Spirit of Advocacy. This function will now display if the spirit has not been upgraded. If it has been upgraded, you can select Reset Upgrade to open the Reset Spirit upgrade window and reset any upgrades. For Blade Nexus notifications, we have updates in Phantom Abilities and Khazan's memories are now visible in the Blade Nexus menu. For Phantom Abilities, if there is a Phantom that can now be unlocked or awakened, a notification will now appear in both the Phantom Ability and Blade Nexus menus. For Khazan's memories, if there is a region where you have completed Khazan's memories, a notification will appear in both the Khazan's memories and Blade Nexus menus. For Dungeons Jars, we have vibration and sound effects when approaching a Dungeons Jar have been enhanced, and visual effects have been added to make Dungeons Jars more noticeable. And for the world map changes, we have the world map now shows detailed mission progress, as well as cleared missions will now show with a check mark on the bottom right side of the mission icon. For consumables UI and shortcut improvements, we have consumables categories have been refined. The consumable info window now shows the item's category instead of just consumable in the bottom left corner. Consumables are classified into 8 categories: Lantern, Special, Recovery, Lacrima, Cleanse, Upgrade Effects, Throwable, and Sal. When replacing a consumable already assigned to a hotkey with a consumable assigned to another hotkey slot, the two items will now swap positions. The names of items already assigned to hotkeys are displayed on the register hotkey screen. We cannot store lanterns in storage. Lanterns currently assigned to a hotkey slot can no longer be stored in the storage. However, other functions such as auto store or retrieve still remain available. Major consumable acquisition notifications have been improved. When acquiring Tear Summon Stone and Primeval Regression Orb for the first time, both the name and description will now appear on screen. After the first acquisition, only the item name will appear on screen when you acquire the item. The shortcut key to adjust item quantity has been changed. The increase and decrease keys have been changed from the arrow keys to the A and D keys instead. This applies to all quantity selection screens, including purchase menu, storing and retrieving from storage, selling and purchasing consumables, and discarding. Gear menu by performance has been added to the gear sorting menu. When sorting gear by performance, each gear type is sorted based on the following criteria. For weapons, we have total attack damage. For armor, we have total defense. For necklace, we have max stamina. And for the rings, we have max health. The Equip Skills feature has been added to the gear window. If a skill is activated through fixed or set attributes, it can now be equipped directly from the gear window. Only spirit skills with selectable commands can be equipped. All sub-skills must be learned first. Skill descriptions and videos are now available in the Gear Windows tooltip. Skill descriptions and videos will now appear in the attribute info window when it has the Learn Skill attribute. The visibility of owned set gear icons has been improved. If you own the same set as the currently displayed gears, their icons will be highlighted in white. This applies to gear in both your inventory and storage. Some of the text in the gear window has been changed. Compare gear and gear info have been changed to info window, and help has been changed to attribute info. For the skill tree, we have an icon indicating when a learned skill is currently unusable has now been added. In the skill detail window, unlock requirements have been added to activation conditions. For the HUD changes, we have an option has been added to display Khazan's health and stamina as numbers in the combat HUD. When this option is enabled, health and stamina are displayed above the gauge in the format current and max. For the quality of life enhancements, we're starting with the Throner's Codex. Attribute weakness information has been added to the Dethroner's Codex, each monster's attribute defense is now displayed as an icon within Dethroner's Codex. Effectiveness is displayed in 4 levels: effective, slightly effective, normal, and immune. Attribute weaknesses include fire, water, lightning, earth, and poison. To break these down a little bit further, effective indicates that the element is highly effective when used to attack. Slightly effective indicates that the attribute effect is weak when used to attack. Normal indicates no change in attribute effectiveness, and immune indicates that this attribute has little to no effect when used to attack. As for the control changes, we have Khazan's memories can now be controlled with the mouse and D-pad. And finally, for other improvements, we have Ozma's Diary is now available within the crevice from your second playthrough, and it is now possible to change the game difficulty from easy to normal. However, the difficulty level cannot be changed during the final mission or in the ending area whilst playing. Up next, we have the error fixes. There are quite a lot here, so we're going to fire these off as fast as possible. As for the common fixes, fixed an issue where the achievements The Hidden Laboratory and Undying Loyalty could not be obtained. Fixed an issue where achievements with multiple conditions could not be completed if you relaunched the game after completing some of the conditions. Fixed an issue where the ground would sink after interacting with Danjin's jars in certain areas. Fixed an issue where you could not exit outside if you fell off a certain terrain during the main mission Polemion. Fixed an issue where if you activate all of the tombstones during the main mission, Rethalon, and then proceed with another mission, the tombstones would be reset and you would be unable to use the Spirit of Advocacy. Fixed an issue where elite enemies in certain areas could not destroy obstacles during the main mission, Naden. Fixed an issue where the boss would get stuck in the terrain when using a specific skill during the side mission, Unrequited Love. Fixed an issue where the boss would not come down from the wall during the side mission Escaping from Linen Mine. Fixed an issue where you could not return to the original area after moving through the boss area's Blade Nexus during the side mission Transcendental Sword. Fixed an issue where Khazan's Javelin would be blocked by a transparent wall when thrown within N-bars. Fixed an issue where the elevator in N-bars would not operate in certain situations. Fixed an issue where the Ghost Hammer item hanging from the ceiling of the Scopher Cave would not drop. Fixed the appearance of a door in a specific location in Vitalon to display normally. Fixed an issue where the chandelier in the Great Temple would float in the air after being knocked down if you entered and returned from the crevice. Fixed an issue where you would be allowed to move to an unopened staircase upon moving to the crevice after killing the Blade Phantom. Fixed an issue where the boss's health gauge was displayed in a space where a boss fight was not in progress. Fixed an issue where Trocker would get stuck outside of the map in certain situations during the boss fight. Fixed an issue where Elamane could not attack through barriers during the boss fight. Fixed an issue where even if Malika's stamina gauge was depleted, Brutal Attack was not used and Malika attacked immediately during the boss fight. Fixed an issue where throwing the concentrated poison aura item at Hismar while it is in the air during the boss fight would cause it to fall and take damage. Fixed an issue where running would be cancelled immediately in certain situations while Khazan was running. Fixed an issue where skills unlocked through equipment set effects would not activate in certain situations. Fixed an issue where if maximum health was reduced when comparing equipment, the health option would appear to not be applied. Fixed an issue where you could obtain infinite gold and lacrima by dismantling high-grade equipment and then crafting low-grade equipment. Fixed an issue where the amount of stamina consumed per tick was affected by the dodge stamina cost decrease option effect in certain situations. Fixed an issue where the charging speed increase effect of the overwhelm and heavy pressure skills was not applied if the greatsword skill Indomitable was not acquired. Fixed an issue where after acquiring the Brutal Attack Phantom skill, the Phantom Form transformation effect is maintained and damage increases abnormally when the skill is activated in a specific situation. Fixed an issue where you could not attack in Phantom Form until you recovered your stamina when you entered Phantom Form with all of your stamina exhausted. Fixed an issue where the item sorting function would not work when the focus cursor was on an item stored in the storage whilst using the storage. Fixed an issue where if you purchased the Coward's Lantern item multiple times, you cannot take the lantern out of the storage and a new item notification would keep appearing. Fixed an issue where you could not move to the Blade Nexus when moving to the crevice after interacting with the Blade Nexus in front of the Blade Phantom within the online demo or after defeating the Blade Phantom within the main game. Fixed an issue where the game could not be played if you chose to continue with the latest data without updating in the physical edition. Fixed an issue where if the game is terminated or crashes during loading, it returns to the previous mission and the number of clears accumulates, making it impossible to proceed with subsequent missions. Fixed an issue where combat related HUDs were not displayed properly on the screen. And finally, we have fixed an issue where lag would occur when slowly manipulating the camera with a controller. For the PC specific fixes, we have both fixed an issue where settings could not be changed after the client was abnormally terminated on the PC, and fixed an issue where the Xbox layout would be displayed when using a PlayStation DualSense controller on PC. For PlayStation fixes, we have the one, which is fixed an issue where controller key inputs would occasionally not be recognized on the PlayStation 5. And then finally, for the patch notes, folks, we have the following improvements. We have improved frame drop issue that occurs during certain patterns of Rankus during his boss fight, improved the issue of characters being pushed back when hit by certain attacks near Viper during his boss fight, improved so that you cannot climb rope bridge railings while running in certain missions, and increased the health of support characters in some missions, optimized some objects that cause frame drops during the main mission Imperial Palace, and improved floating stones to move more naturally during the main mission Imperial Palace, improved to give a greater attack opportunity upon successfully attacking a specific pattern in phase 2 of the final boss fight, improved the issue where cinematic cutscenes appear unnaturally when changing phases during the final boss fight, improved so that the phantom form can still be activated while exhausted, improved the issue where the spear skill shadow reversal would restrain the target for an excessively long time, improved the duration of the staggered state upon destroying parts of the elite dragonkin double-edged butcher enemy, lowered the difficulty of completing the codex for the Power Lost Guardian Knight and the Power Lost Trooper enemies, improved so that the damage taken by the red-eyed boulder bat enemy is not reduced even when its outer shell is enhanced, improved the issue of some areas displaying in dark colors in the later stages of the game, improved the issue where the Ashen Wolf gear displayed abnormally in some cinematics, improved visual and sound effects for portals moving to the crevice, improved visual effects when executing elite enemies in some missions, improved visual effects that appear during the buff of the spear skill Moonlight Stance, improved some effects when hitting an enemy in the frenzy state with a combo attack, and finally we have improved so that soul stones can be designated as lock-on targets. We are constantly monitoring your feedback and will review and apply further improvements as quickly as possible. Okay, so that was an awful lot to have covered, folks. It would appear that the majority of the biggest issues should now be resolved, along with a wealth of general improvements. This all makes sense considering we have DLC coming between the next 9 and 40-ish days. I would anticipate a smaller patch before then, with some additional fixes just before the free DLC is released. Either that, or the DLC may very well come with its own patch, but we will have to wait and see. As previously mentioned, folks, we are covering Clair Obscur when it releases this Thursday, the 24th of April. Additionally, we are already covering Deadside, which was released on consoles just a few months ago. Deadside is a survival game which can be summarized best by simply saying DayZ and Rust had a baby. Imagine Rust's building mechanics and mission design paired up with DayZ's gunplay and vehicles. Anyway, hopefully there's something on the channel now for everyone, but regardless, thanks for watching, folks, and until next time, peace.